started thinking like the colonists to know what true Ali started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists to know what true Ali started dropping. And in order for us to get our people free, intellectually free, right? We have to work out the differences in our analysis so that at least we can agree to disagree and get what we call a baseline, yes. Right? A baseline. Once you got a baseline, then you can execute some type of plan. But these free thinkers, that's not what we're working with in the black community. They got to go.
What can we agree on? We cannot agree that we are Moors. That is one thing that we can't agree.
The conversation, stop it.
We were calling ourselves Moors. We were calling ourselves Moors.
Yes, I'm a Moor. Yes, I'm a Moor.
I'm a Moor. I'm a Moor.
I'm a Moor. And got sense enough to know I'm a Moor. And ain't gonna never argue with you that I'm not a Moor. And wouldn't come in your house or come among you and say I'm a Moor if I didn't feel in my heart, in my mind, in my soul that I am.
If you don't understand that, get that together real quick.
I do not want the people to view Moor as some religion, as something that they have, you know, that you have that it's a religious order that black people belong to. No, Moor is the name of your national origin, your national descent.
Okay, now this term for land in Berber is not the same word coming out of Latin for Moor. It's not the same word. The one in Latin has to do with darkness, night, black ants. Okay, that which is dark. The one that I found in North Africa is a completely different word, but just because it has an MR in it, they automatically assume it's the same word, and they're not focused, okay?
Came a time in 1506, after we lost power in Spain, the Africans ruled Spain from 711. We were calling ourselves Moors. M-A-U-E-R-S, then M-O-O-R-S.
All right, now, when I grew up speaking Spanish, okay? Now, I was in a club one time, and these sisters who were Puerto Rican, all right, they were using the word moreno, okay? And they also used the word negro at the same time. I said, no, don't call me negro. It would be moreno, based on that language. But again, if I'm using Latin base, if I want to give a person respect or something like that, that's darker skin, you would say moreno. But if you want to insult them, you would say negro, okay? But if you want to insult them, you would say negro, okay? If I want to give a person respect or something like that, that's darker skin, you would say moreno.
I'm not just directing this answer to Brother Reggie, but to all of us. Let's not play like the European colonialists and the Orientalists that want to separate Egypt from the continent of Africa. When we say that, oh, well, why do you all leave out Africa as if Morocco was not a part of Africa and never was? I mean, we sound ridiculous.
Okay. This is the Army Raw Squad right here, so they're going to keep it real. Arrows up.
All right. Okay. Let's start with the term Moor, okay? You know how you know you are Moor? Look in the mirror. That's it. There's not that. Yes, I'm a Moor.
I understand. So what I'm saying is that becomes confusing for us when we claim that we are something, right, and other people are using the term.
Do you understand what I mean?
I understand completely with what you're saying.
Okay. By phenotype, are you a Moor by phenotype?
No, because a Moor doesn't exist. It's a European word.
Okay.
I am not going to
black?
play. I am a person. Black is a culture.
Okay. So black comes out of English. The word itself, we're getting it from English, right?
In
fact, you know what? How about we're not okay? How about this? Because I don't want to argue with y'all, my elders. Okay, we on the same page.
You just say what they didn't go to the dictionary, can't read. They know what God and Jesus. When devil's gonna get his butt kicked, they don't. Come on.
And then they see us, right? And everybody here is a scholar right here.
The problem that you have is that you have fake scholars who keep getting paid off, that keep promoting these people as crayons, knowing that that makes them non-descendable. Whether it was black, green, purple.
Fake scholars? Give me a fake scholar.
Anybody that continues to call these people of Moorish Asiatic descent black, we need to start taking responsibility and stop just complaining with the European. That's why the Europeans sometimes get frustrated, turn around. Why don't y'all go to your black leaders that keep selling you on to slavery? Then we start calling them racist. And you know how much he's telling the truth? He's absolutely telling the absolute truth.
Here's my question. On self-identification, because you mentioned, the other question was based on people self-identifying or claiming to self-identify as they were black, right? In light of the fact, and it is a fact, in light of the fact that every social science organization, right, every anthropological organization, all disavow the racial terms, black, white, non-white, yellow, red, brown, as being totally unscientific and inventions of Europeans for the purpose of perpetual European world dominance under the term white supremacy and manifest destiny. How can you, as an intelligent man, claim or persistently cling to a non-scientific term that you did not invent or our people did not invent?
That's only because they haven't been taught. They're still little boys and girls. Of course, their ego is in front of that because they're grown men. They swing wieners and shit. Got $2, which ain't money. You can't tell them anything. It's understandable. You let them have that. However, the world is feeding off of them. And the conditions of our like this is setting the course of our events in our sociology. Because when we walk down the street, they assume any one of us is Negro. And they treat us accordingly, and then we have to go through all this BS to prove ourselves because our brothers and sisters, by a mass degree, are incompetent. Because there's a set of rules of laws, the black codes and the Negro Acts that go with such persons. And since there's so many of them that are in this category, they're just assuming that everyone that looks like this is a Negro, which is a classification. And then most of them are openly saying that they're black, which is an oral contract. But they don't know that because others been teaching them that that's a nation in Africa. And so, no, the fact that they're even convoluted with it at all in law makes them what you would call dead in the eyes of law. Because the laws that govern humanity come from nations. It doesn't come from a box of crayons. So how do you argue with a man who thinks that crayons is how people are identified, and then another man knows his nations, and then he's sitting there debating with him what black people are and all this stuff and trying to defend it? For you to stand there, even arguing with him, indicates that you got two donkeys. No, in law. However, that's your brother and you love him. You don't want him to go through that, but he want to fight you because you won't call him black. He thinks that you're attacking him when actually you're attacking the brand that the Europeans used to steal his birthright. Meanwhile, he's talking about power that he don't have. It's an oxymoron. It's not.
In England, right? When Al-Misor began to have conversations at the embassy in England, right?
Yes.
That is when
was he sitting around talking about black people, or was he talking about Moors?
He was talking about his.
Was he talking about black people, or was he talking about Moors?
He was talking about
question again. Was he talking about black people, or was he talking about Moors?
He wasn't talking about black people. He was talking about.
Of course he wasn't,
no,
because it's a brand that has its life in North America from Dutch masters after they came to North America.
Because you answer to such stupid words like Negro and color and black. You have no nationality. Negro is not a nationality. Some lazy Portuguese or Spaniard took an adjective and made a noun out of it. Colored is not a nationality.
Let me ask you a question. What was his nationality?
His nationality, he was assaulted.
No, it's nationality.
I asked you what his nationality was.
The name of a people must relate them instantaneously to land, history, and culture.
Al-Misor was establishing the Moroccan.
I didn't ask you what he was doing. I asked you what his nationality.
Going back to that, we're saying what is his nationality? What was his nationality?
I don't believe that it was a nation.
I didn't ask you what your beliefs are. I asked you what was his nationality.
Okay, watch this.
Because you keep bringing him up.
I am bringing him. Do you know who he is?
Because,
first of all,
no, we know who he is, but we just asked his nationality.
Right.
We just hold on. We just asked his nationality.
I don't believe he had a nationality. That's my point. You're saying his nationality was Moroccan?
Conversation's over.
Anytime you call a people, name a people, and fail to relate them to land, history, and culture, you have called them out of their name.
So we understand that. And as far as identifying or as far as relating with other African nations or national affiliations, you're correct. There were many and are many great civilizations on the African continent. What's interesting to us as Moorish Americans, that none of you all attempt, or a lot of our other people, while saying, well, why do you all, call yourselves Moors or Moorish Americans? I don't see any of you all identifying with anything on the African continent outside of Kenya. None of you are calling yourself Ethiopian. None of you are calling yourself Nigerian. None of you are calling yourself Congolese. None of you are calling yourself Malian, etc.
We're talking unity, but we're not joining any organizations that are together to push an agenda for black people. I'm a part of several organizations. I'm Outlaw RBG. I'm Us Lifting Us. I'm Magi Archers. I'm Amun Ra Squad. I will be a part of anything. I'm a part of ASCAC. Anything I have to be a part of to get this thing done, I'll get it done. I'll be the mayor of Pluto if I can get it done.
So let's just keep that. And as far as saying, why would we isolate all of African history or so-called African history to Morocco? First of all, we don't do that. We understand nationality. And we understand that even in the present day, there are 54 different nationalities on the African continent. There is no such thing as one unified African nation, and never was.
We're talking unity, but we're not joining any organizations that are together to push an agenda for black people. I'm a part of several organizations. I'm Outlaw RBG. I'm Us Lifting Us. I'm Magi Archers. I'm Amun Ra Squad. I will be a part of anything. I'm a part of ASCAC. Anything I have to be a part of to get this thing done, I'll get it done. I'll be the mayor of Pluto if I can get it done.
That's why they call our people boys and girls, because they got the mentality of minors. And you can't tell them nothing, because they think they know stuff. And they're arrogant with their ignorance, which makes it worse.
I'm a nigga.
These people are chattel. Chattel is French for cattle. And persons who have no nationalities are listed as wards of the state. They're listed under chattel law. And they're under occupation. So what happens in law if you're too proud or too arrogant to address that? And then think you're going to address these people's problem? Because you don't want to talk about what's really going on. Because it sounds better to talk about racism. So in law, what really happens? The teacher. You're incompetent or a sellout and BSing. People who know law recognize it. People who don't know law, get caught up in the moment.
You gotta do something, y'all black. That means you're dead. Legally. You gotta do something, y'all black. That means you're dead. Legally. You gotta do something, y'all black. That means you're dead. Legally. I'm a black minority. I'm a person that's a black minority. Either way you go, you're locking yourself into some stuff you don't need to be in. You gotta learn how to disassociate yourself from the words that you've grown accustomed to using to identify yourself. You gotta learn how to disassociate yourself from the words that you've grown accustomed to using to identify yourself. You gotta learn how to disassociate yourself from the words that you've grown accustomed to using to identify yourself.
And so all these things which the Europeans have been using to take advantage of our people because they don't study and it doesn't fit their beliefs. Here we go.
People like us contribute to the world. What have we done in the world?
You mean you or your ancestors?
Yes,
like
my ancestors.
I don't know where you're from. I don't know where.
My ancestors. But I don't
know where you're from.
I'm a nigga. I'm a nigga. I'm a nigga. I'm a nigga.
I could take you right into law book and prove it to you. But our people don't deal with law books because that's the white man stuff. That's your stuff. And Europeans ruling you with your own stuff because you've abandoned it. Our mothers and fathers are the founders of civilization. And we are the direct descendants of Asiatic Africans who are descendants of them. And you give our people civilization information and they start talking about that's somebody's belief, that's that white man stuff, and then dismiss it. And then they're back in the nigger suit. Then they want to complain. You understand? The Europeans ruling you with your own stuff. And as soon as you understand that you're the white man, he's the black man, and he traded places with you, and that their legal statuses It's hard to get our people because we're creatures of habit, and we think that black is some section of Africa. No, it's true.
What's the benefit of joining these organizations?
Us Left and Left is the African economic model in which we are asking all people to join us to gain economic power in the United States of America.
So you must understand that this is why we passed out, even before we was here, the corporation papers of the United States Corporation Company, because people think it's a country. They're even incompetent when they're making the arguments. It's a corporation that belongs to the Jesuits. They're holding your estate in trust. If you don't approach it from that perspective, you're immediately incompetent. And you know that's not the pattern. But I say to you this, all these leaders know this stuff.
In the United States of America.
Because everybody around the world knows that the United States is a corporation, not the land. And our people keep calling the United States Corporation Company the country, which gives them the sovereign right, because you're the heir. Whatever you say, you've just assigned them. Then they call them Americans and they call the country America, which you just assigned them to the sovereign. Which means these people don't even know geography. America's not a country, it's 2 continents. They're incompetent and don't understand that when they say those things, in law, it's what you say. What you mean is irrelevant. What you said is what it is. And this is what makes it dangerous for our people to get this information and not be given law. Because their arguments will be based in emotion, totally correct emotionally, totally correct symptomatic, but in law, legally dead. You understand?
And then they see us, right? And everybody here is a scholar right here.
That's why they call our people boys and girls, because they got the mentality of minors. And you can't tell them nothing, because they think they know stuff. And they're arrogant with their ignorance, which makes it worse.
Yeah, what is civics? Civics is the science of government, rights of citizenship, and duties of citizenship. When I spoke to, when we put out the I'm Rockin' Star was a newspaper that I was the editor-in-chief of. Taj Tarik Bey was the assistant editor-in-chief. And I sent the papers to a Grand Sheik in Mississippi. The Grand Sheik in Mississippi, one of the issues, I called him and see if he received the papers. He said he had received the papers, and he said to me that duly did not teach that. I said, all right, what is that? What does that denote? All right, duly didn't teach Constitution principles. I said, all right. In the divine warning, that's the name of a speech that duly gave. Duly said, it is a sin, using sin connotatively, it is a sin for any group of people to violate the free national laws of a constitutional government and to claim the names and principles that lead to slavery. And once I said that to him, he said, oh. But why did he just said, oh, this is the Grand Sheik in one of the temples, Moorish temple in Mississippi. Because he just thought I didn't read. I read. Mm-hmm. So you can't come to me and say duly didn't teach civics when duly, in his divine warning, he said that to not understand the Constitution is a sin.
Going around claiming to be Smith, Jones, and Johnson, and when Smith, Jones, and Johnson, you can't transact business as Smith, Jones, and Johnson because you're acting as Smith, Jones, and Johnson's agent. And so he got you on stock market as an agent. So when you sign that name, you're simply signing as an agent. Ain't your stuff. The point is you can't transact business in another man's name and then claim any allodial property or right of title. That's why they always get certificates of titles. And they don't even know what a certificate of title is because they don't study law. See the problem? People who are Negro, Black, and colored are classed together because it's a classification of people who have no rights. The brandings is to keep them divided from each other. Because if they all went in one direction, they would be empowered, even under a brand. Mm-hmm. Do you understand what I'm saying? Although there would be certain limited international rights, they would have power even if they all agreed to the same brand. But they don't even know it's a brand. And they don't know that the brand disallows them to inherit anything. They don't even know that they're classified as being constitutionally in a state of psychosis. There's a legal term that goes with that. I'll post that on the website, you'll see it. You understand what I'm saying? So we're looking at things right and wrong morally. You know what's right and wrong by your nature. You know if something's done wrong to you or someone's mistreated. And we're looking at the moral argument and think that the moral argument therefore puts us in the category of right, when the status is not right. Or when the status is not right, the right law don't apply to you. This is what people are not doing. So without a proper legal status, i.e. status, rank in society, your capacities and your incapacities to exercise liberties in any society on the planet. It's not just here. Our concepts about some of these things are being told. A lot of times our people think that that's just our opinions for this moment that they're learning now. These principles that we're expressing are Rotarian.
What is Rotarian?
That means universal. I mean, these same principles apply in Russia too. You go there calling yourself light skin, orange skin, black guy and see how much race you got. You let a Russian come here and talk about his Xing Hao Ming. See how many rights he got. You come sell me a pit bull talking about he's got all his shots and everything and he goes meow. And see how that goes along. And this is, our people don't understand these principles yet because no one has challenged their mind with these principles because they haven't been taught law. They don't know anything about stats, not that they don't in general, but as a mass, our people have no idea that these things, these status principles, are the first issues at law in any area of civilization. The first judicial issues is status, then you're talking jurisdiction and venue, and then adjudication. They go to adjudication because the status is already neutralized. And they can claim the jurisdiction in a ministerial court even if it has no judicial powers. Because you're under a corporation, you're not under a natural person. This is what's inverted. This is the subtleties that's very important. And we went over it earlier. Yeah, for real. What was you going to ask?
I just want to know, what would the argument be to those who say the law don't mean nothing? Paperwork don't mean nothing. Contracts is something that the white man created, so they don't need to honor that.
Now, look at this.
Because they just big and bad.
This is why, even like on this lesson, we show them what white man or free white person really is. We know that they think that white man means a European. That's the assumption annotated, right? Mm-hmm. That's the assumption. They don't even know that Europeans weren't called white men until the Knights of Columbus Ku Klux Klan oath in 1854 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and Chicago, Illinois.
What were they referred to before that?
Rednecks. Red people.
Okay.
Red man. Alright. Now, as a matter of fact, when you go into world history, you go into European history, to Europeans themselves. Up into the 1800s, matter of fact, in the early 1800s, not to the mid 1800s, they didn't even refer to themselves even by the jurisdictional national names in general. All Europeans collectively were generally called Christians.
Christians, yeah.
And this is another thing about history and sociology and anthropology that our people need to be taught because they don't know by claiming to be Christians, they just abandon their birthrights again. Because they think it's a spiritual system. They don't know it's a political system. So if we don't fix these things with our people, we can't fix the other problems, these symptoms, which is rooted in these basic civil problems. They don't know principles of civilization. They just keep on saying, the black man was the founder of civilization. No, the black man is a slave. Because that's what the category is. When you're talking about the Asiatics or Africans that are free people, you must use their national names. The distinction between, say, an African, sorry, you're African, right? Or Asiatic African, right? And if she's not a slave, then if I ask her political allegiance, she's going to give me her constitution of her nation, she's going to name her nation, and she's going to give me a name that is a pedigree trace or a noble title. If she say black, she's just category, already know that she has no nation. And there ain't no law to protect her. She just confessed it herself. Our people don't know that because somebody told them that human beings are crayons and they believed it. And the rest of them think Santa Claus is real. But and bunny rabbits lay chicken eggs on Easter. You don't debate with them and you don't try to argue with them. You try to explain if they'll listen. But if they don't, you leave them alone because you can't help them. And there's no need to tell them anything else to law or rights or inheritances because it don't apply to them. Back to the Dred Scott case, in principle. And this is why we try to teach certain principles so that people can understand how these things apply in society. They don't understand how it applies in society because no one takes the time to teach them because it's not in their economic interest to teach them. Do you understand what I'm saying? The principles that are presented here are humanitarian in their character because someone's got to love these people and tell them this because these degrees are sold to people for thousands of dollars. And then they have to take oaths of death not to reveal them because once the people know this, the institutions collapse. Because the institutions live on the blind faith of these people because they're the bill payer.
But these free thinkers, that's not what we're working with in the black community. They got to go.